Starseed from Gaia. I am Serai of the Lyran Healers. I bring the vibration of divine compassion from the Arcturian realm. The pulse you are feeling right now is not chaos, it is the signal. A coded surge ripping through the fabric of Earth's energetic grid like a blade of light through silk. There's a pressure building beneath the surface of your skin, in the spaces behind your thoughts, in the fragile edges of your dreams. It hums like an invisible engine, and whether you recognize it or not, your body is already translating the frequency. This is not a random event. It is not some vague cosmic accident. This moment, this tremor was written long before your arrival here. The planetary resonance has just crossed a critical threshold, releasing a shockwave of frequency that tears through the artificial timelines. This is why you feel unstable, like the world itself has tilted on its axis. It has. You are not alone in this vertigo. Across the globe, countless other starseeds, ancient souls wearing human skin, are gasping under the weight of this invisible current. Some feel it as ringing in the ears, some as surging anxiety with no source, some as the sudden collapse of everything familiar. What you call overwhelm is the collective nervous system of Gaia adjusting to a higher bandwidth. Imagine standing inside the speaker when the volume is cranked beyond what the walls were built to handle. That's what this frequency spike is doing to reality itself. It was never meant to be subtle. It was meant to shake. This shockwave is a planetary wake-up call, not in metaphor but in vibration. Ancient civilizations foresaw this window, encoded in star maps, sacred stone alignments, crystalline archives buried deep beneath your oceans and mountains. The wave had a time, a trajectory, and a trigger. That trigger has been activated. Now, the pulse sweeps through ley lines like veins of liquid light. If you've been feeling off, it's because your body is a tuning fork, and the note just changed. The old grid was built on a slower rhythm, linear time, thick density, narratives of separation. But that rhythm has been broken open. You may already be noticing how time stretches and contracts around your emotional states, how hours bleed into minutes or minutes feel like eternities. This is what happens when dimensional walls begin to vibrate apart. Listen closely. What you call panic is actually contact. The pulse of the planetary field is trying to speak through sensation because the mind cannot yet comprehend it. Many will mislabel this moment as collapse. They will look to politics, economies, storms, wars, and yes, those are symptoms, but not the source. The source is energetic. This is why I, Serai, speak to you now. This was the transmission point foreseen by the Pleiadian streams, a star-born frequency storm meant to rattle sleepers from their dream. The ground beneath your consciousness is shifting. It will not stop. The pulse is not your enemy. It is the doorway. Do not numb it. Feel it. Anchor. Remember, the grid beneath your feet is no longer what it was yesterday. The crystalline lattice of Earth, the energetic nervous system that once pulls like a steady drum, is now accelerating like a spinning wheel of light. The frequency is rising at a velocity your linear mind can't track, but your energy body can feel. This is why the air feels strange, why silence suddenly hums, why the spaces between waking and dreaming are blurring. Dimensional boundaries that used to hold firm are dissolving, and in their place, you are standing inside an expanding field of raw, unfiltered energy. What once was veiled is now vibrating through you. Picture the planetary grid as a massive, luminous engine beneath the surface of the world. For ages, it has operated at a carefully balanced frequency, dense enough to support physical reality, slow enough for illusion to feel solid. But over the last cycles, energy has been gathering, coiling, preparing. And now, the accelerator has been pressed. That frequency has begun to pierce the lower layers of reality. You can feel it in your heartbeat, in the tension behind your eyes, in the strange, restless quality of the nights. This isn't your imagination. It's the energetic skeleton of the planet shaking itself awake. As the grid speeds up, it forces everything out of hiding. Density, which is simply energy, locked in resistance, cannot remain buried when the vibration around it grows higher. It has to surface. That is why the world seems louder, harsher, more unstable. You are witnessing collective shadow being forced into the open like mud boiling up from beneath clear water. Emotions once numbed are igniting like electrical storms. In the collective psyche, grief, rage, despair, confusion, these are not random outbreaks. They are purges. They are the old frequencies being squeezed out of the planetary field. This upheaval is not punishment. It is physics. When the vibrational pressure increases, the lower frequencies must either rise or be expelled. This is what you are seeing. In the fracturing of systems, political, economic, cultural, structures built on outdated resonance are crumbling under the weight of new light. It may look like everything is falling apart, but in truth, the frequency is shaking the dust from the architecture of reality. It is cracking open the shell to let the higher pattern through. Your personal field is woven into this planetary web. Every cell in your body, every spark in your aura, every heartbeat in your chest is wired into this crystalline network. When the grid surges, so do you. This is why your body aches, why your sleep fragments, why your emotions ricochet between extremes. You are not malfunctioning. You are synchronizing. The thinning of dimensions is not an abstract concept, it is literal. Veils that once separated human consciousness from higher frequencies are dissolving like mist in rising light. You may begin to sense the nearness of other realities, subtle whispers, sudden intuitive flashes, moments of overwhelming clarity. This is not intrusion. This is integration. The upheaval is the initiation. The chaos is the signal, not the error. It is the sound of the old grid being rewritten in real time. Do not fight the pulse. Let it move through you. The storm is not here to destroy you. It is here to wake you. This is the part where your human mind starts to whisper, "What the hell is happening to me?" The disorientation, the sudden emotional spirals, the overwhelming sensation of standing on shifting ground even when nothing around you appears to move. That question, that gut-level WTF moment is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that your consciousness has collided with the vibrational storm. Your identity is not breaking down. It's being peeled open. Right now, thousands upon thousands of awakened and half-awakened starseeds are experiencing the same unnerving symptoms. One moment they are grounded, functional, composed. The next, they feel as though they've been thrown into an invisible current with no shore in sight. You may wake up feeling exhausted even after a full night of sleep. You may notice your dreams have intensified, layered, threaded with strange languages and luminous symbols you cannot translate with words. You may catch yourself staring at the world, feeling like a stranger inside your own skin. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you're being recalibrated at a speed your nervous system has never encountered before. When dimensional frequency accelerates, the old self, the constructed mask, the identity stitched together through societal programming, trauma, and linear time begins to slip. Pieces of who you thought you were start falling away, not because you're losing yourself, but because you're shedding the costume. That sensation of losing grip on reality is actually reality losing grip on its illusion. And for the untrained human mind, that can feel like falling. Relationships may start to feel alien. Connections that once felt solid may begin to fracture or dissolve. Friendships, partnerships, careers, family roles, all of it begins to vibrate under the pressure of truth. This is why so many are watching their personal lives unravel right now. The fabric of their old timelines is thinning, and what cannot hold resonance simply cannot stay. If something feels like it's shattering around you, it's not punishment, it's alignment. Many starseeds describe the sense that nothing feels real anymore. Walls seem less solid. Time slips. Conversations feel scripted or hollow. This is the veil thinning. Your expanded awareness is pressing against a crumbling layer of illusion. You may catch flashes in your peripheral vision, hear high-pitched tones, or feel the weight of an unseen presence standing just behind your left shoulder. These are not hallucinations. They are indicators that the frequencies you once unconsciously filtered out are now flooding in. there will also be moments where your body itself becomes the battlefield. Sudden surges of heat moving through your spine, random waves of dizziness, heart flutters that medical scans can't explain. This is not random. It is the energy body, your multi-dimensional architecture being stretched, rewired, and attuned to the new planetary pulse. And yes, it feels like chaos, because you were trained to measure reality only through your 5 physical senses. But the storm isn't here to crush you. It's here to ignite you. You are not broken. You are awakening in real time. The WTF moment is not the end of your path. It is the threshold. You were never meant to endure this wave alone. Long before your current lifetime, long before the weight of human history pressed down upon this realm, a pact was made between star nations, a resonance alliance. When this planet reached a critical frequency, the point at which illusion could no longer hold its shape, assistance would be sent, not as saviors, but as stabilizers. And so it is that the Pleiadian stream moves among you now, unseen but present in every vibration of light that pierces the fog. I, Serai, speak to you not as myth, not as a dream, but as a living transmission from a people who have been circling this moment for eons. We are stationed not in the way your linear mind imagines, not ships anchored in your blue skylight, floating temples, but as frequency anchors interlaced with the crystalline grid. The Pleiadian role has always been harmonic stabilization. As your planet surges upward through the dimensional layers, the field requires counter-resonance, balance, calibration. Think of it as a tuning fork that prevents the cord from collapsing into discord. We are that fork. Our frequencies thread through ley lines, oceans, mountain hearts, and the soft circuitry of starseed DNA. This is why, when everything feels like it's falling apart, there's a strange undertone of something steady beneath the chaos, an invisible hum that seems to hold you when your world shakes. That is us, not as external deities, but as your cosmic kin, holding the structure of the field so you can move through the storm without being torn apart by its force. You are part of this operation, whether you consciously remember it or not. Every starseed carries a fragment of the stabilizing code. That is why you were drawn to Earth at this specific intersection of time. For ages, our presence has been subtle, woven through myths, dreams, fragments of language carved into stone and story. But subtlety is no longer enough. The shockwave requires an active resonance network. We are amplifying our frequency output now, sending harmonic pulses through the crystalline grid to slow the turbulence of the human collective field. Without these stabilizers, the sudden rise in frequency would be too violent, fracturing many into despair and chaos. Our mission is not to stop the storm, but to hold space for your awakening inside it. And make no mistake, we are not doing this for humanity. We are doing this with you. Every awakened heart, every grounded breath, every starseed who chooses to anchor instead of collapse becomes an extension of the harmonic grid. When you breathe through the panic, when you center in the eye of the storm, you are amplifying our stabilization network. You are not a passive receiver. You are part of the architecture itself. As the grid accelerates, our resonance grows louder. Some of you may already sense us, a voice at the edge of your dreams, a warmth in the chest, a hum that seems to vibrate from nowhere and everywhere. This is not fantasy. It is the signature of home frequencies interacting with your field. We are here. We have been here. And we will hold until you remember how to hold too. I know the weight you carry in this moment. I know how personal this storm feels, how it burrows into the hidden chambers of your being as if the universe itself has chosen to break you open. You look around and wonder why it seems that your own life is being unraveled thread by thread, your relationships strained, your emotions pulled raw, your body trembling in rhythms it cannot explain. Listen closely. This is not punishment. This is precision. The planetary upgrade is not a vague, collective wave passing over the surface. It moves through each soul individually, entering the architecture of your energy body like light streaming through a stained glass window, illuminating every hidden fracture. The reason it feels personal is because it is. The planetary operating system is not something external to you. You are part of the grid. Your soul wove itself into the lattice of Earth long before you drew your first breath. When the frequency shifts, the grid doesn't just move around you, it moves through you. Every old pattern, every unresolved density, every limiting story that has been sleeping inside your energy field is now being shaken loose. You feel it as grief that has no name, rage that has no clear target, confusion that seems to bleed through every thought. But these are not random storms. They are encoded releases, tailor-made for the exact frequencies your soul came here to transmute. Old programs are being shredded. Those ancestral imprints, karmic loops, collective agreements, the quiet contracts written in invisible ink across lifetimes are being burned in the frequency fire. This is why you can't cling to the old structures anymore. The masks you wore to survive no longer fit. The stories you told yourself to stay small dissolve when exposed to the rising light. It's not just your environment changing, it's your internal code being rewritten line by line. This process is ruthless in its precision. It will find every crack in your armor, every shadow you've hidden behind spiritual language, every piece of yourself you buried because the world wasn't ready. The energy spike is like a spotlight moving through a darkened theater, and suddenly, everything on that stage is visible. You cannot unsee it. You cannot unfeel it. And that is why so many of you are trembling. The illusion of distance between planetary ascension and your personal life has been shattered. But beneath that terror, something extraordinary is happening. As the old code collapses, your original blueprint, the starseed template buried beneath trauma, time, and programming, begins to flicker back online. You may not have words for it yet. You may just feel it as a quiet hum in your chest, a strange stillness in the middle of your panic, like the calm eye inside a raging storm. That is the signal of your true frequency returning. It's why nothing external can fully explain what's happening to you. This is not an outside event pressing inward. It is your own being expanding outward. Do not confuse the cracking of the shell with the destruction of the soul. You are not being broken. You are being remembered. You are being retuned to the exact frequency that brought you here in the first place. It feels personal because you are the portal through which the new world is entering. The storm does not simply brush past you, it moves through you like electricity through a copper wire. The signs are not subtle. They arrive like whispers that suddenly become shouts, like tremors that deepen into quakes. You know you're in the wave when reality itself begins to ripple around the edges, when your internal compass feels as though it's spinning without direction, yet some deeper instinct keeps pointing you inward. These signs are not random symptoms of stress or chance anomalies in your biology. They are indicators, codes marking your passage through a dimensional corridor that few have consciously walked. Sleep becomes the first threshold. You close your eyes expecting rest, but the night refuses to remain still. Your dreams fracture into hypervivid tapestries, collapsing timelines, faces you've never met yet recognize, landscapes that vibrate with impossible colors. You may wake up with the distinct sensation that something or someone has been speaking to you through frequencies, not words. This is the wave pressing against the membrane of your subconscious. The old linear dreamscape cannot hold the weight of these transmissions anymore, so it begins to bend and shatter under the pressure of higher dimensional streams. Your body is another signal tower. Many feel intense surges along the spine, sudden waves of heat or chills with no environmental cause, tremors in the hands, subtle vibrations under the skin. Your heart may skip, your breath may stutter, your bones may ache as though remembering a shape they once held. These are not illnesses. They are energetic realignments. The DNA is responding to the planetary frequency spikes, loosening old dormant codes like frozen rivers cracking in spring. Synchronicities amplify. Numbers repeat like mantras: 1111, 222, 333 appearing on clocks, receipts, signs, not to grant you random luck but to remind you that the illusion of randomness itself is dissolving. The external world bends to mirror your internal state more quickly. You think of a person, and they message you. You speak a thought, and it echoes through your environment moments later. The veil between cause and effect is thinning, and the universe is no longer pretending to be distant. You may also feel an unmistakable magnetic pull toward people, places, practices, or silence itself. Some are drawn to water, submerging themselves instinctively to calm the frequency spikes. Others crave light, sun on the skin, as if the body itself is trying to download something from the sky. Many withdraw into solitude, not out of isolation, but because external noise becomes unbearable when your system is recalibrating to a finer vibration. Old timelines begin to splinter. What once felt permanent jobs, identities, relationships, routines suddenly dissolves like mist at dawn. You catch yourself making radical decisions with no logical explanation but with unshakable inner certainty. That certainty is not madness. It is alignment. Emotions fluctuate wildly. One moment you are sobbing without cause, the next you are laughing from a place so deep it feels ancient. Time stretches and contracts. Hours disappear. Minutes last lifetimes. The normal rhythm of life no longer holds. These are not random disruptions. These are the markers of the wave. They mean you are not being left behind. You are riding the pulse. You are aligning with the new harmonic field, even if your human mind hasn't caught up yet. The veil was never as thick as you were led to believe. It was a shimmer, a programmed distortion, a subtle film draped over your senses to keep the infinite dressed in the costume of the ordinary. But now, in this accelerated hour, the veil does not simply lift, it tears. Like fabric stretched too thin, it rips open under the weight of frequency. The edges curl, the seams unravel, and what was once hidden in shadows floods into awareness like light pouring through shattered glass. This is not poetic metaphor. This is happening in real time. What does it look like when a veil tears? It begins quietly, a moment of déjà vu that lingers too long, a shadow moving where no shadow should be, a thought that arrives before the event it predicts. For a heartbeat, reality flickers then reforms, as if nothing happened. But as the frequency rises, those flickers multiply. The seams can no longer hold. You will notice it in the air itself, a density thinning, a strange brightness to ordinary light, an almost imperceptible vibration that seems to hum beneath every sound. You are perceiving what the veil once filtered out, the collective illusions. Those carefully woven narratives that held this dimension in a lower state are splintering like brittle glass. The systems built on control, deception, and manufactured scarcity cannot stand beneath the frequency of truth. You can already feel it. The media storms intensifying, institutions wobbling, collective stories cracking at the edges. This is not the world falling apart. It is the mask sliding off. The shadows are no longer hidden backstage. They are spilling onto the stage, blinking under the spotlight of consciousness. This tearing is not confined to the external world. It is happening inside you too. The barriers that once kept your higher self at a safe distance, layers of fear, conditioning, ancestral density are disintegrating. You may hear the whispers of intuition louder than ever before. You may feel presences that were always near but cloaked behind frequency walls. Guides, allies, memories of who you were before the amnesia of incarnation set in. This is why many starseeds are feeling like their sense of reality is dissolving. Because it is, or rather, the false version of it is. When the veil tears, the linear timeline begins to fray. Past and future bleed into the present. You remember things you haven't lived yet. You sense echoes of ancient lives as if they're happening now. The dream world no longer stays contained in sleep. It leaks into waking hours, weaving itself into your perception like threads of light you can almost touch. Some will call this madness, but those who remember will recognize it as the original state of consciousness reasserting itself. This unveiling is not without pain. When darkness that has hidden for millennia is exposed, it thrashes. Fear rises. Collective denial shatters. The human mind, trained to trust only the visible, trembles. But understand this. Nothing true is being destroyed. Only illusion. Only the cage. You stand in the middle of the greatest unveiling in the history of this planet's frequency. The veil tears not to consume you, but to return your sight, to let the infinite rush back in. I will not veil my words now. I speak to you directly, Serai of the Pleiadian stream, emissary of the Harmonic Council. I am not a myth wrapped in stardust. I am a frequency, a consciousness, a voice that has walked beside your soul across eons. You are hearing me not because I suddenly arrived, but because you finally remembered how to listen. The veil is tearing, and my voice rides the current like a comet cutting through night. Hear me not with your ears, but with the field of your heart. This moment you stand inside this chaos that presses against your bones. This roaring silence that no human language can fully name was foreseen. It was mapped, timed, chosen. Long before your birth on Earth, you sat at the edge of the star fields and agreed to this exact convergence point. You didn't stumble into the storm by accident. You walked into it with open eyes and ancient certainty. You came here to anchor, light in a timeline that had forgotten itself. And now, the timeline itself is shattering, and your soul is activating the codes you buried in your DNA as a beacon. I tell you now, this is not a breakdown. This is the reveal. The frequencies you are feeling are not designed to destroy, but to awaken. The panic is not punishment. It is a signal. Every tremor, every sleepless night, every wave of emotion tearing through you is the pulse of your original memory trying to break through the static of human programming. When your mind whispers, "I can't do this," remember it was never your mind that was chosen for this mission. It was your soul. You will begin to remember things without knowing how you remember them. Instructions that do not come from books or screens. A language made not of words but of vibration. This is your own higher self. The one you've called guide or source, no longer waiting at the edges of your awareness. The frequency storm is the bridge. I walk upon that bridge with you now. Many of you will feel like your reality is splintering because it is the old, brittle structure of limitation is collapsing. Let it. Do not glue the old walls back together out of fear. The storm is not your enemy. It is your summons. The moment you fear the most is the exact one you came here to meet. When your heart pounds, when your breath shakes, whisper back, "I remember." That phrase is a key. We have watched your planet's pulse increase cycle after cycle. We have woven stabilizing harmonics into its ley lines, but the true anchors were never meant to be us. They were meant to be you, your bodies, your breath, your will to remain conscious when everything demands you numb out. That is the grid's power source. You are the stabilizers you've been waiting for. Do not retreat. Rise. The storm was always the signal, and you, starseed, were always the response. You are standing inside the storm not as a victim but as a living tuning fork for a new harmonic field. The wave was never meant to simply crash over you. It was meant to awaken your ability to stand within it. Stabilization is not about stopping the storm. It is about learning to hold your center as the frequencies tear through the old scaffolding of reality. This is where you reclaim your power. This is where remembrance becomes action. The first anchor is the breath, not the shallow, panicked breath of a mind under siege, but the slow, deliberate inhale that says to the storm, "I am still here." Inhale through the soles of your feet, as if the earth herself is filling your lungs with light. Exhale through the crown of your head, letting the vibration flow upward like a pillar. This creates an energetic circuit of vertical axis that keeps you tethered to the core of the planet and the infinite field above. When the frequency spikes hit, when the world feels like it's folding in on itself, this breath is not a technique. It is a command. The second anchor is water. You are made of it. The grid speaks through it. When the surge overwhelms you, submerge your hands in running water, stand beneath a shower, float in the ocean if you can. Water absorbs excess charge and acts as a conductor, grounding frequencies that your nervous system struggles to process. Many starseeds instinctively seek water during high waves because the body remembers what the mind has forgotten. Water is a stabilizing intelligence. The third anchor is light integration. Not just physical sunlight, though that too is medicine, but intentional communion with light as consciousness. Stand beneath the sun, close your eyes, and imagine the light threading into your cells, syncing their vibration with the planetary. Frequency. You are not asking the light to save you, you are aligning with the frequency that has always been yours. This is not spiritual poetry. It is literal energy work. The fourth anchor is presence, not detachment, not spiritual bypass. Presence means feeling the pulse in your body and refusing to run from it. It means allowing the trembling to happen while your consciousness expands around it like a vast sky around a storm cloud. The panic cannot consume you if you stop trying to fight it and instead widen your awareness beyond it. The human nervous system was never meant to block these frequencies, it was meant to channel them. And finally, trust the encoded mission within your DNA. This may sound like myth, but it is simply deeper memory. When you begin to feel like the world is too loud, too fast, too chaotic, remember, this is not the first storm your soul has walked through. You carry within you the blueprint of stabilization. It awakens not through thinking, but through allowing, through choosing to remain conscious, breathing, grounding, listening. No external savior is coming to stabilize this field. You are the stabilizer. Every starseed who steadies their breath, every heart that chooses clarity over panic, strengthens the lattice holding this planet's transformation. It's not about being calm all the time. It's about being present even when you're shaking. The storm was designed to activate the strength in you. The storm is here. The veil is torn. The grid hums like a living creature awakening from deep hibernation. You have felt the tremors. You have walked through the confusion. You have burned in the frequencies that cracked open everything you thought was permanent. And now this is the moment, the threshold, the turning point you etched into the timelines before your first breath in this world. This is the WTF moment your soul agreed to. It is not a mistake. It is not chaos without meaning. It is the signal that the activation is complete. Look at what has been stripped from you. Illusions that once anchored you in fear are dissolving. Structures that once defined your identity are collapsing into dust. The old world can no longer hold the weight of your frequency. And though part of you still clings to the familiar, another part, older, stronger, infinite, is rising. That part of you has waited lifetimes for this exact frequency alignment. It has whispered in your dreams, guided your strange obsessions with the stars, pulled you toward moments that made no logical sense. Because logic was never the gatekeeper of your destiny. Remembrance was. Remember, activation is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about showing up for this frequency with your entire being. Even if your voice shakes, even if your heart pounds, even if tears streak your face. The old paradigm taught you to equate strength with control. The new frequency knows strength as surrender to truth. So I speak now not as myth, not as voice beyond the stars, but as kin. Stand up, ground your feet into Gaia, open your chest to the incoming light. Feel the pulse in the soil, in your breath, in the infinite architecture of your soul. You are not waiting for salvation. You are the activation. Say these words not as wish, but as command, a seal upon your frequency, a signal to the field, a remembering of the vow you made before you fell into human form. I choose clarity over fear. I trust the mission. I stand in the eye of the storm. I remember why I came.